Hi everyone, welcome to the Incidentally Reliable podcast. I'm Vishwa and today I'm joined by someone who is partially responsible for my closet being 99.9% full. He is the engineering director at Myntra. We have Ashutosh with us. Hey Ashutosh, how are you?
Yeah, doing good. Thanks Vishwa for having me here.
We are having this podcast in the backdrop of the large-scale production engineering meetup that's happening in Myntra. Myntra hosts this meetup once a quarter, I believe, right?
Yeah, so LSP we started around 11 years back.
Wow, okay.
When there was a group of people at Yahoo, and it happens every quarter, second Saturday last month.
Nice.
Yeah, so Myntra is hosting for last 2 years.
Okay.
The second time we did.
So I think you've had a storied career over 18 years now at some pretty crazy companies, right? You've worked now. You're at Myntra. You were earlier with Paytm, VMware, Yahoo. So the first question that all of us wanted to ask is what motivated you to pursue large-scale production engineering as your career?
I think it's a good question because when I started, I never knew that it is gonna call production engineering.
What was it called?
Yeah. At that time, I was part of a team. I joined, the initial company which I joined was a startup.
Okay.
It was incorporate, created by government. And I was excited I joined. And then when I started working on it, I was member technical development staff. So I was definitely doing some software development thing. But they knew how things will turn around and it will mostly becoming a platform engineering, larger scale, where and I didn't know what large means at that moment, right?
So how large was it back then, though?
Yeah, it was.
This is government, right?
It was government data centers.
Okay,
right?
that was large.
Physical servers, and we used to access them. Protocols were the same, right? But it was exciting because first time after graduating, right, and you see all these things which are happening real time, right? So it's like one part. It started. The other thing is that continuing on that journey, right? I would say that it was pretty satisfying until now, and I can answer that why it is. In my experience, right, this is the field which is we call nowadays platform engineering, developing horizontal platform in the domain of observability or security, compliance, or you can say automated testing and developer productivity as well. And cloud is an inherent part of it now. Earlier it was data centers and your own design hardware as well sometimes, right? The things have evolved, but the beauty of this particular line is that you don't have to wait for a PRD coming on your way. No one tells you what to do, how to do. And it is full of technology. It is just doesn't stop at some places. Maybe it is not about you use a particular framework to develop something. Like I'm using Spring Boot and developing a business logic, and a lot of good things are happening, right? And that field is evolved and but this is a complex world. Yeah. Where it doesn't stop with a framework and a language. It actually starts over there. Yep. It consists of a network, it consists of networking protocols, deep understanding of those, as well as the paradigm of hardware shifted. It changed the entire design of yours, right? And the various deep layer 4, layer 7 protocols, security is part of it, right? So it's a very complex domain, and when you knit and everything, there's a huge learning outcome out of it.
Have systems been have they been increasing in complexity over time with your experience, or decreasing?
When I started, I was junior, so it was complex.
It's complex for you.
Yeah. I have experience, and the very experienced engineers work with me in these days, right? Still we find it complex.
Still so.
Right. So relatively, yeah, the world has changed. So just concluding the previous thing, right, that the learning opportunity which get in this, the diversity you get it in platform engineering is humongous, right? So, and that is what motivates and excites all the time. Yeah. And that's why I'm here.
Nice. Yeah. I mean, director of engineering in Myntra, right? I'm guessing undisputedly our favorite fashion portal. what does a typical day look like? And also, I mean, would love to learn what you guys are working on in 2024, and where do you see e-commerce, engineering, technology heading?
Right. So you see that, let me touch upon this point from the perspective of cloud and cloud perspective, cloud journey, as well as platform side of things, because there are multiple part of it where we have the teams who are building things for users consumption directly, and what we do, it is indirect consumption to user, but basically we impact their life as well and touch them. So being a director over here in last 3.5 years almost, right, I've seen a paradigm shift in which how engineers deal with the platforms, whether it is user facing or not user facing, the things, how they deploy, how they monitor, how they look into the monitoring. That shift is change. Is just not technical change. It is also about how their mindset is changing.
Okay.
Right. Things are very fast paced, at least in last 1 year.
Okay.
And this year, I think the growth of developing new products with the new technologies in place is our target, right? Which means the challenges are pretty much people have to skill and then deliver those. And where platform team has to play a very important role, because without having that layer of horizontal layer, giving that type of reliability on which these new features are going to be deployed and run, is going to have a separate thing. So being a director here, focusing on these things and at the same time balancing it out, the reliability aspect of it is challenge. It's a complex environment. So the focus goes or the time divides across both.
Okay.
New features which are being built and how to work with the other engineering teams to have them reliably come to production, and second time ensuring that all the compliance ask, all the security ask, all the reliability ask has to be addressed. Not now. We have to think of actually 3 to 4 years down the line in a very rapidly changing environment. So it's challenging. So it's more about working with your team, understanding and helping them, supporting them, what they need to get things done in this entire horizontal landscape of things.
Okay.
Yeah, and of course working with other engineering teams as well. So yeah.
And what should we expect in Myntra in 2024? What are you guys working on?
In this year, there's a lot of focus on compliance things.
Okay.
Right? There have been journey where Myntra was focusing on refreshing their tech stack, and we did a biggest project of ours concluded in 2022, and which is mostly moving to Kubernetes.
Right.
Now this year, technically, we are focusing on few other things. So you think of maturing ourselves in this domain, and we are moving towards improving the productivity of developers.
Okay.
Right. That is the main thing, main motive. So looking at it, there are a lot of buy versus build decisions has been made, and many of the decisions are towards buying something which is highly competitive, having an advantage in the market, whether it's a queuing systems or whether it is your release engineering side of pipelines or automated testing things, as well as observability side of things. At the same time, being relevant and adding a value to Myntra and working on something which is what we can do, not these platforms. For example, having a layer of reliability, taking backup and restoration, right? So this is important from compliance as well as to ensure your BCBGR for your organization. Bringing new construct into the observability side of things, not just focusing core of how to do it, because that is a solved problem. So this is a very interesting year for us from platform side, where our focus is on working on two sides, immediately fixing any challenges which depth productivity side of things, reliability, and at the same time focusing something which is about to come, which is 2 years down the line. One of them is the cost also.
Got it. And for things that are about to come, right, where do you see in general the global e-commerce going in terms of paradigm shift? Where do you where do you see the next paradigm shift happening in e-commerce, engineering wise or technologically wise?
It has already started, I
Okay.
would say, right? If I say like Myntra has been pioneer in e-commerce, at least in the fashion and beauty and personal care segments, right? That we have been using ML for solving a lot of use cases for
Correct.
our users.
Yep.
Right, whether it's a personalization or not only personalization on recommending something people want to purchase, but more about supply chain side as well.
Yep.
However, when Gen AI and ChatGPT thing came last year, almost beginning of the year, right? The lot of use cases which were pending, either on the bandwidth of data science team, or not having the right cost versus benefit analysis of things to develop those models or wait, or like a lot of complexities were there.
Yep.
When these things are in place, it's easier for us to experiment.
Okay.
Because we don't have to focus on building those core things, but rather using them and then giving a value.
Yep.
So you see, one of my sister concern released Myntra GPT.
Okay.
Yeah. So that was a pretty big milestone.
Okay.
In a few months of launching or GA of ChatGPT, we launched Myntra launched that product, right? So this was pivotal moment for entire Myntra, and I'm sure like we have been very happy, and the team which developed should be very proud of it, right? So that paradigm shift already started from tech side.
Yep.
Yeah. Where leveraging these new technologies, making the business more agile, more lean, cutting down the cost where it's possible, and innovate faster. It's easier to think about it now and to get it done.
Okay.
So I would say the foundation already started, I believe, last year. This year is more about more focus, more R&D towards it, because the maturity of this particular thing is going to be next 5 years at least.
5 years.
Yeah, at least.
That long. Okay.
Yeah, because we are at inflex point right now.
Okay.
Because a lot of things, almost 2 months or 3 months, you have new version of any new model coming
Correct.
up, right?
Right.
And we also experimenting with a lot of models, and we'll see how things will fit, where it will fit. That's a part of experimentation. You can't say just go and just start using it, right?
Got
We
it.
should give you some level of reliability to being a user of it, right?
Yeah.
So that will, it is fast paced, but I would say that from platform side of things, a lot of things are being taken care by group itself, group companies. So I say like it will take some time to get mature, because it is evolving field all, but it's always shown its value, what we have are giving to our customers. So the new features and things, we'll see a lot of integrations with these technologies going forward.
Awesome. I think Myntra is one of those companies in India that, you know, startups like us and any other company looks up to, for the single reason that they're so obsessed with their customers, right? The product that we use to buy all of our clothing, it just screams customer obsession, right? I was always wondering how that customer obsession, you know, how do you bring customer obsession as part of your engineering culture? Myntra seems to have cracked it in a really good way. I was just wondering, I mean, how did that happen?
Yeah, so I think it's a pretty good question from the perspective, because unless you know your customer, you don't know why you're doing it actually, because someone product comes to you and say do this thing. It doesn't make sense, right? Being engineers also, we need to know. And Myntra is rather Myntra, like we all, right? We are pretty aggressive on that one. We want to know our customers, and there has been a lot of effort put by management to know our customers.
Okay.
Where being leaders, us and other leaders from different departments, we go and speak to customers.
Okay. Directly. Okay.
Directly, we may not go into the field, but we bring those customers online and we interact with them, or someone interact, we listen to them, right?
Correct.
But it's more about getting them to know firsthand.
Yep.
And at Myntra, everyone uses it, right? So first-hand feedback you always get at home.
Like right next home, next to you.
Next to you. Yeah. So there's an immediate feedback. Why Myntra is not doing this thing this way, and easier to pass. And so our culture is so it's like so safe psychologically. Like you can go and talk about anything with the business leaders, right? So why we are doing this thing, and this is open to ask questions.
Okay, so it's just an open culture period.
Open culture.
Okay.
And technically, we also we run hackathon.
Okay.
There are two parts of hackathon. One is definitely focusing on the tech. Other part focuses on business.
Okay.
Means engineering team work with product teams. They work with UI UX teams. They work together. Try to develop something which is not there. So it's the ideation plus product generation and proof of concept we try to do.
Okay.
And that gives a lot of ideas, right? And I have seen in last 2-3 years, that many ideas went to production. And I think this Fashion GPT is one of them.
Okay. It was born out of a hackathon.
Hackathon. Yeah.
Nice. I mean, how do you measure user metrics, and how do you know which user metrics to measure?
Is a complex thing.
Yeah.
I wish there would be a syllable to answer this question, right? I can put some light on it because it's a very important one. As we are talking about the user experience, know your customer, we need to know what they don't like also, or what they like, or how they are experiencing, what is their experience while they are interacting with a lot of features on my app or Myntra's app. Now, I think we'll be digressing on this side of things, but this is important for, I think, people to know, right?
Yeah.
The major important thing here is that while we define a particular feature for a customer, definitely it's a customer, that is our partners or the sellers or resellers, or it is a customer, right?
Yeah.
It is important to know how their experience is gonna be impacted.
Okay.
What are the various things? Things which are in our control. We need to have a visibility around it.
Okay.
Right. For an example, right, we need to know when people want to see my orders.
Okay.
Like you want to see your orders, right? Now it is something which you can go in history along as much as possible, right?
Correct.
And you can search also. Now, how many people go and search it? Or go how long, right? That is something, if you measure, know that like almost 5% or 10% people always try to search more than 3 months or 6 months, right?
Of search history.
Right. Then it makes sense for us to monitor that particular behavior.
Yeah.
Right. And ensure that, build some KPIs around it. If it is degrading my performance and I'm not serving that page on time, right, what time it should be.
Okay.
Right. So that is the thing, right? I should be knowing what my customer needs. That should be defined when I'm building that feature.
Okay.
Right. So what is, in short view, I'm saying that what is the objective of your service? That has to be defined. And why, when it is defined, when you are actually trying to envisaging and building that product. In PRDs, ROI is not only the thing. You have to put what to be monitored.
Yes.
To understand the user experience and interaction with your thing.
Right.
And I'm sure we are doing it, but in general, this is the start point.
Okay.
This is the beginning. It is not like you develop something, and because we engineers usually focus on our server side things,
yes.
right? Hey, we have getting this 5xx one metric. We are getting this number of what is my throughput is reducing or increasing. We just measure it.
Performance.
Right? However, we don't. But it doesn't give you very a qualitative analysis of how it is impacting the customer.
Exactly,
right?
It does not.
That is a measurement which is required. Right?
Okay.
And the journey starts when you are writing those PRDs.
So, one question from this conversation, I think, just to end this conversation, right? Who should define SLOs? Should it be product or engineering?
It should be product.
Okay.
If they are interacting with business or in turn with the customers, they know what customer need. The journey starts there. So SLOs or service level objectives has to be defined there. So making it necessary part of your PRD is necessary, right? Otherwise, it's very difficult for engineers to identify which type of indicators they need to put into their code, or what type of probe they need to put it, and how they can measure it. So how part will start when you define what to be done.
Okay.
So this again we can talk about it. Why? So when we talk about DevOps, right? This is the thing. This is the paradigm, right? Where product, business, engineering, they are coming together and deciding. It is not one person is deciding; it's everyone working towards it. It might happen that you define a SLO, which is very difficult to measure at this point.
Yep.
Even the amount or the cost to measurement is higher.
Yeah.
Maybe it is a discussion and debate, and you define that and prioritize what to measure first and mature the model over the period, and what to measure second and later, right? So that's why this is covering up two part work in a DevOps model where product, business, even engineering team is part of it, debate, decide what should be the objective, because any monitoring should start from there. At the end, every engineer is going to monitor their own systems, which is predefined in the market, like 5 pillars of observability and things are there, right? Even a database engineer will monitor the same way, and every layer of engineering. But at the end of the day, you don't know what you measure as a symptom.
Right.
You never knew how the customer is impacted, unless someone from business comes to you and tell this is not what working. Right. Until then, you have some percentage of errors here or there, right? So, in short, SLOs should be made a mandatory part of any PRD.
Okay.
This is any user facing, but if it is a user facing service, then how to do it? Because there are no PRD usually. In platform engineering, no one creates a PRD.
Yes.
Right? It is an open and wide world, right? This applies over there also. If you are building a service or you're integrating a service from open sources, define first that how it is going to impact to the consumers. And this is rather easier to do it because your consumer is next to your cubicle.
Right.
Right.
Yes.
Go and speak to them.
Okay.
Send a feedback, send a form. Just it's easy, right? Put up a Google form. Ask what do you want. Create cohorts, small. Talk to them, and that will reduce a lot of turnaround cycle. Otherwise, usually what happens, platform say we have done this automation, will help you a lot, and then other engineers comes and say, hey, it's good you did it. Can you do this thing as well? Can you add that feature as well?
Okay.
And then things never stops. So again, you have to put DevOps here as well. You even platform team cannot work in silos.
Okay.
It has to be a model where DevOps come into place, where you have to work with your consumers, which are mostly other engineering teams.
So, Myntra, you've matured your production operations for over a decade now, right? And we're just curious and you have a couple of peak sale events every year. It's a two-part question. First is, what does the peak sale war room look like? Okay. What's the atmosphere like? And how do you organize it? And second is, what is the strategy from a platform perspective, or from the platform side, to support these peak sale events?
So the sale time usually, so we run 3 major sales.
Okay.
2 EURS, one in June or July, and other one is in December. And BFF is a bigger one, which we started a few years back.
Right.
And this is run usually in Dasara time. And all these sales are important. First time in this year, we are doing a birthday sale, which is still going on. And it's not a small sale, but it's a medium sale, I would say.
Right.
So preparation for such bigger events, we call them high revenue days.
Okay.
Or HRDs. It starts with the BI team comes into place. So they do all the market research, they work and crunch the data and comes with the analytics. And this team comes with a projection.
Okay.
Projection of throughputs, rather throughput like sessions, user sessions or expected orders per minute. All these matrices they generate. That's a business decide some date, and engineering work start. They will give some heads up, of course, which is at least a month or so.
Okay.
In general, but you can't always time it. It is always a competitive market, right? So, So our journey starts with understanding the construct of the sale,
Okay.
because a sale is just not about giving a discount. Because discounting model itself is quite complex in nature, and discount is one part. Then adding new styles, new product line, there are a lot of complexities which definitely out beyond my scope or our scope to talk about.
Right.
But to understand that will help other engineering teams to understand how the sale would look like, what is the throughput they will be having it, and there are features which are released with every sale.
Right. New features.
Okay. Which means there's a deadline for engineers to complete and release those features in production. So it is quite happening time where you see a lot of features being pushed in production.
That is a week, 2 weeks before the actual sale date, right? Or do you push it on sale date?
We don't. So we'll talk about it, because these are best practices which I will say that should be like doing, anyone should be doing.
Correct.
Because this is really important, because related to the revenue and then your company's reputation, many things are there, right?
Yep.
Even though we are in a very mature world today, a lot of tooling and things and DevOps maturity model for Myntra also improved over the period, but still we have to be careful when we are going to sales.
Okay.
So that is one thing. Once we decide throughput and OPM and thing, and the features and changing the features, this is where the first thing happens is about the capacity planning.
Okay.
This is the biggest exercise which is done, and which includes not planning, implementation, and testing it out.
Okay.
So preferred team is stakeholder in all the places. Because how to get the reliability that, because Myntra's sale construct is that we get peaks. It's like burst traffic at midnight sale, right? So we prepare a lot for that one by we have a software or tool inside in-house made which is used for load testing.
Okay.
Now this is where platform teams work together and define, with the help of the engineering teams, what is the construct of test cases which to be performed, which is very similar to what user behavior. It mimics user behavior at certain extent. And then load testing starts with that.
Understood.
Other engineering teams, they anticipate their own load, what they're gonna get, because there's it's a funnel, right? The gateway layer gets some traffic and then it is divided across. And
yes,
it can happen that what traffic top layer gets, their lower layer will get much more traffic than that, because it is complex world, right? So it's a microservice world. So that way every team has to identify. This is not automated, very complex problem to solve at this point.
Right.
But we are working towards it. But we have to identify how much capacity we need. Since we are Kubernetes is easier, so it is easier to augment and think, right? That is a small job, very half day or 1 day it is required.
Sure.
Earlier it used to be 1 week.
Okay.
My 2 years before, it was more than a week it used to take just to augment.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Now it is around 1 day.
Understood.
Even less than that.
Nice.
Then load testing part starts, and it surfaces a lot of issues, not only with the capacity, sometimes it surfaces issues of configurations as well. Because you forgot to put the right rate limiters for the respective traffic, and then it breaks.
Yeah.
And having the data set available for you to test and things, and those things are happening. So that usually takes a week or so.
Okay.
Yeah. And the final day we have, there are other things also been done, like in which about putting the different styles before the sale or uploading discounts and things, right? But during the sales, the war room part, right? This is interesting of all, right? Where usually I joined during COVID time and the war rooms were online.
Right.
So I did not get the glimpse of it, how exciting it could be.
Right.
But first time when it had at the office, I saw that what a sale means to Myntra, where everyone at the floor and is like a festival.
Okay.
So and like it was like, you can say we were enjoying our night that day. Although sales start midnight, but the celebration started in the evening itself.
Right.
So the war room, this is a construct where you have multiple rooms, a control war room and master control war room, and then there are one for war room. So every team is having their own there's a close collaboration with business team and product team also involved, and everybody's on top of things, right? So that's the thing. But yeah, it is very exciting to know, like, it's like a celebration for us that day, and nothing can give more happiness to see the traffic spikes at the midnight. Orders are placed, and we just counting how many orders placed and what side went, and then how much we tested and how much percentage went, right? So just seeing the validation of the effort.
Yeah.
And it went smooth. That is important.
And go smoothly, right?
So nothing can give me more satisfaction than seeing those numbers at that point. Yeah.
So, Ashutosh, you mentioned again as part of platform, right? What's the maturity of chaos engineering within Myntra, or even any other organization that you've worked in the past? And have you had the chance to implement it so far?
No.
Okay.
We are sort of, we have thought about it, and I started thinking about it and started exploring the availability of the tools. If you see, Myntra's journey has been exponential in terms of tech stack, at least in last 3-4 years. 4 years, in fact, I would say. And then we are at, if we define our maturity of running things or operations maturity, we are at a stage where we are changing our release engineering part this year.
Okay.
And year before, like I mentioned, Kubernetes journey was there. So definitely it gives a lot of maturity in terms of, like, we are doing hundreds of deployments every week and even every week, right? And now we are going towards very self-serve way of, self-managed way of releasing the features in production, which will increase our velocity further. Now, organically, chaos will come at Myntra. Not this year, but I'm sure next year at a certain level it might come. And why we can't get rid of it? Because that is a natural progression towards reliability.
Right.
Having well-defined testing which can resurface or surfaces some issues in the availability, performance, and various things. So we have some things right now, but I don't think we can categorize them as a chaos. We don't create a chaos in the system today. What we do, we try to have automated testing, integration testing, as well as the end-to-end testings, which will validate, or which validates on the fly, that if any of the flows are broken or not. Right. So those things are there, but ordinarily I see it is not far that we try to introduce chaos going forward in our system to test their reliability aspect.
Is there an opportunity for a dev tool to solve an existing problem?
In SRE domain, it is say that solving a problem is an art. It comes over the period, right, over the time, which is true, and it is going to be true going forward as well. Now let's talk about it, how relevant it's going to be in coming time. It is not a prediction, it's just a assessment on how things are happening. It is easier for machines to learn from existing patterns. Right, it's not difficult, right? How many type of issues, you just feed type of issues, logs, events, and probes in a system which is learning all those things at the...
So a single system that's actually getting all the information and just learning about the system, learning about the system more.
Learning about systems, right? And is it easier for the system which is learning to give you a set of causes why it happened?
Why it happened, yes.
Now you see, the major part of what skills you needed already solved. You don't have to go and check metric system, then you go to logs, then you go to other probes and things, right? You don't have to. You are getting a summary of it, right?
Correct.
Major part of your work is solved. Now you say, is it going to make SRE irrelevant? Definitely not.
No.
This is challenging.
It will augment.
It's augment. Yeah. Basically, you have to upskill yourself, or in fact, it is pushing you to go more deeper. Where machines can't give you the insights.
Correct.
End of the day, humans has to take a decision, right? So this is the problem is this: how you can add a value in coming time, right? This is a problem which is not solved, but it is not far in getting it solved. That I'm sure, like a lot of observability platforms are saying that they can give machine, they are using AI and ML and give insights. Definitely they will not solve your problem.
Yeah.
They can give you insights.
But it won't be the right insights.
But it is right or wrong, only humans has to decide.
Correct.
So this is where how we can build a platform, taking their recommendations and taking it forward.
Yeah.
Let me give one more example. This is my domain, so I can give one more example. So logging systems, right? Or logging, again observability, right? Now there are tools which can categorize your logs, can give deep insights into logs and change the logs from one service to other service. It is proven, it happens, and it is proven it can add it's a good ROI it can give, because you save a lot of time in identification and resolution. Is it good enough?
No. Of course. Nowhere close.
Yeah, nowhere close, right? Because I can use the platform to label my logs, to do things, but one more problem come. How can I add a value? Right? It can give some insight, definitely, right? I can pinpoint where the issues are not, right? However, if you see, right, the major problem with logs is this amount, size, right? And it's keep on growing. I want to save my cost also. It's not like keep on. How can I do it, right? There's a lot of challenges in logging.
Okay.
People are writing all info logs. The logs are redundant. A new developer come and don't know the best practice of logging.
Correct.
And logging everything.
Yep.
Right? How you can give very insightful and actionable to the engineering teams that, by this is what you're doing. I think this is what you can do.
And also, engineers don't even know what percentage of logs they're using, right? Or only, like you said, the best practices for logging is sometimes things that engineering teams need to know, but probably most don't. And they add to the cost of logging at the end of the day.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's a natural growth for them as well, right?
Yeah.
But someone who's junior and just joining and that person wants to debug, it is not a problem, because these things will come eventually. And then started and you see he or she enabled a debug messaging. And done. and you're a third-party tool for logging, gone.
Oh,
so this is the thing, right? How to optimize that part, right? A tool should recommend. This is where I think platform teams can add a value.
Okay.
Because they know more about your system than a third-party tool can talk about.
Correct.
Just simple example, right? So these are the things, right? We have to find and push production engineering to the changing times of the world, right? I know a lot of tools, not a lot of, one tool I am aware of it, which came on is using ChatGPT and gives recommendation how to tune your Kubernetes by understanding the matrices on Kubernetes. So people already there, right? So it is not about being relevant; it's more about learning and pushing ourselves to do what is not being done.
And I think we'll end the podcast on the same note as we did the others, right? Your favorite war room stories.
So there are a lot of things recently also. I can talk about the recent one, right?
All right.
Last year, we are preparing for one of the sale. And we run same service, which is running for years. We run one sale in the same year, no issues. Second sale, biggest sale, no issues. Third sale is smaller scale, issues. And no one knows why.
Okay.
Architects worked, right? And it's a sale time. You have to squeeze everything into some time. When we work on sales preparation, it is sales preparation. Nothing can come into it. It's the highest priority at the moment, because there's a time we have to do code freeze.
Correct.
As I mentioned, we can't fiddle with the system when sale is about to start.
Correct.
So this is the time where the services started failing, not absolutely, but relatively like couple of percent drops were there.
Okay.
And there's important service. It's like coming the user path.
Understood.
Now, it is unacceptable.
Of course.
Because it will, is user path. At the same time, we had another issue going on. So definitely we were unable to figure it out why it happened. When we root cause that previous one and try to patch it, that was still continuing, and that continuing at a scale, certain scale.
Okay.
Interestingly. I don't know what, because it runs on a cloud, and cloud is always abstracted. What changed from previous to now? No one knows. No one knows. Now this is the interesting thing, that the root cause was that after working, engineers were working many hours, and one of the engineers just, I'll talk about it, right? So root cause was that service was running in a zone. On a cloud is having a zones. So there's a multiple data center within the same region. So it was it was running a Kubernetes. Kubernetes pods are across 3 zones.
Yeah.
And the service, the second layer, which is a caching layer, which was in one of the zone.
Correct.
Very interesting, right? Now, this service is something that makes iterative calls on the caching layer to get the data.
Right.
Iterative means latency at support. So the pods which are calling the caching layer from different zone, it was adding the latency. It was beyond what the service level objective was defined for the service, and they were failing. Then one engineer just sat down, because it was so we have to very near to code freeze, and then he started killing the pods. And likely pods were coming on that zone and falling. That's the thing. But we had to, the SRE team has to put up a new node pool.
Right.
And move the service on the new node pool. Fortunately, we were prepared. The tools which we developed were agnostic of Kubernetes cluster, but they have given a feature of selecting node pools also.
Right.
So it was pretty smooth. We just create a node pool on the fly, and then respective service team just select the node pool and done. So it mitigated the issue. It did not solve it.
Right.
Question would be, why you did not plan for multi-AZ and things.
Correct.
Again, I would say that comes into maturity, because multi-AZ is, you can go multi-AZ by your decisions, because, right, but you have to design your services to run into multi-AZ.
Correct.
Because the cost across zone
Exactly.
are chargeable.
Yeah.
I don't know other clouds, but this particular cloud which we use is charged.
Yeah.
Now it is not, and your services need to know where they are sending traffic or not. So it's near careful redesigning, and then topology mapping, and then installation of everything from front end layer until the back end layer. So interesting one. Took a lot of time to identify and resolve, but yeah, it was a good learning. And it was highlighting some of the decisions we took. So this is a trade-off, you see, right? At the one end, it is the cost, and other end, it is the reliability.
Yeah.
So when we decided the cost is the major factor is today, and going to be in public clouds always, right? It's very difficult for anyone to decide which part to go, right?
Yep.
So I know for user experience, reliability always takes head.
Center
It should tend towards reliability.
Exactly.
But
it has more weightage.
More weightage, but what is the return of investment?
Correct.
Like you're spending, for example, let's say monthly 1 lakh for something. I'm just giving very big example. Right. But ROI is like is a tier 2 service. Right. It's okay if it is not available for some time. Or maybe its availability is 95%. Okay. That way, right? So defining this objective, as your previous decision coming here, is very important to make that decision, that where you want to shift towards.
Okay.
Right. Unless you define an objective very clear, this is a level of service which is going to give this experience to the user. If we want the user to be retained on Myntra's platform, or anyone, in fact anyone in the world, right? You have to make those calls, because even increasing your reliability by 0.09 or 0.01% can impact your customer's experience a lot.
Yeah.
At the same time, it can increase your cost a lot.
Yes, absolutely.
Let's take an example. You want to build a service which is highly reliable. The downtime is less than 1% in case of disaster. Disaster is a less probability event.
Yes.
Like, it is not even 0.1%, it is less than that, right? But still, we prepare for it. Now, if you want to have the services reliability, availability, like, you need to have an active API setup. Active service is not simple, it is complex.
Very expensive.
Expensive as well. Because you have to re-architect the entire tech stack. You have to ensure the backend layers are network partition and thing. You need a specialized people to maintain it, right? is huge cost.
Huge.
Now, are you getting that ROI?
And you have to pass it on. You have to pass on the cost to the customers also, right?
With the banking system, definitely it makes sense.
Makes sense.
Right. But in e-commerce, for some of the thing, may not be. So it's always a debate and discussion, but it's more about how you ask a question to whom. But it's important thing is ask question and ensure that you know why you are doing something and why not. Other way.
Awesome. This was a super fun podcast. Thanks, Ashutosh, for making time today. I mean, this is probably one of many more podcasts to come. I mean, Myntra, as always, we'd love to. We'll be tracking Myntra for the next couple of months and, speaking to you about more topics in the future as well. Hopefully, not too long from now.
Sure.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Ashutosh.
Thank you, Vishwa.